Bruce Addison. I'm founder and president of Addison Biological Laboratories. We're at a feedlot in Howard County, Missouri, which I lease in order to do some of these studies to follow the federal regulations for licensure of vaccines. The vaccine we're working with is Moraxella bovis. That's the name of the organisms in the vaccine and the name of the organism that causes the disease. The disease is generally known as pinkeye. The official name is infectious bovine keratoconjunctivitis. It's a serious disease. It'll move through a herd for 2 or 3 months. When cattle have this, they don't gain well. The estimate is about $200 million in losses annually to this disease simply due to the lack of gain of these cattle. It's a very painful disease for these animals. They don't gain weight. That costs a lot of money when they don't gain. You run cattle through a chute to treat them, and it's going to run you about $7 loss per head just from the lack of gain from the stress of going through a chute. Also, anytime they're stressed, their immunity can be depressed. We don't want that. We want these animals cared for the best we can, the least stress possible, and keep them from getting sick. In general, it's just a disease that is very cruel to the animals, costly to the people raising them, and fortunately our vaccine has proven to be quite effective at preventing the disease. Yeah, I've been interested in this disease for about 40 years, and maybe a little longer than that. And as a microbiologist, you look at these things, you say, what can be done about that? And there are treatments. You can use antibiotics, but prevention is always better than treatment. And so I started experimenting with different ways to produce this bug en masse, and knew that other people could not get the antigens produced that they really wanted to give protection. And I experimented for about a year or so and figured out ways to effectively produce those antigens, and then I had to figure out a way how to scale this up and produce it in some kind of volume, and that took about another year. Lots of mistakes, and you learn from mistakes. And eventually, I think we got it right, and we were producing this vaccine in 6 states, in 6 different laboratories around the country, selling only to licensed veterinarians. And parts of the industry, the dominant companies, always look out for their own best interest, and they decided, outfit like ours, and they lobbied the Senate, put us all out of business. I closed 6 labs and started over January 1st, 1990, and we worked through the system, went $2 million in debt, getting the thing through the licensure process. And since then, we've been the dominant vaccine for this disease in North America. And every day, you know, we feel good, we produce it, we help animals, prevent pain, suffering, and help the people that raise those animals because they're much more efficient and profitable. So it's a win-win-win. Well, that's why we're in business, because we care about the animals. Starts with them. They're the ones we serve, then the ones that take care of them and own them, and finally, good tools for the veterinary profession. Other companies have come to us when they found that our vaccine was effective and very safe, and so we started producing for them. Their labels on it, it's their product, but it's all made in our facility, very carefully, very well organized and controlled, and safety record and efficacy record is quite good for several decades now. We're able to produce certain proteins that are involved in attaching the organism to the surface of the eye. They're called pili. They're protein, and there are 2 phases of them, I and Q. One is active in the initial attachment of the organism to the cornea of the eye. The other one is involved in persisting in that attachment to the cornea of the eye. We measure those every time we release a serial vaccine. We know they're there. We know they work. Other people have not been able to figure out how to do that. So they'll be inoculated with the causative agents, the organisms, and it's all blinded. We won't know which one is in which group, and a statistician will analyze all those results, and then we'll see if it's significantly different between vaccinates and controls when they're all challenged the same way. So there's a group of controls, and then the rest are either vaccinated or not vaccinated with a placebo, meaning they're a control. And then we just have to look at the eyes over a week's period and make a determination through a scoring process that's pre-approved and see that we made a significant difference between vaccinates and controls. Well, the most important one is the people standing behind you, not on camera, that make all this happen. They're smart, they know what they're doing, they work in lots of areas. Then we all get together and combine our talents for these studies out here in the field. So a lot of backgrounds, a lot of great work ethics, a lot of integrity, and the team makes it happen. First female graduate of the University of Missouri School of Agriculture designed this facility. They told her it was too big. And then when I was in grad school and took beef production and management, they showed pictures. As I said, this is the perfect feedlot. It was 800 head feedlot. And then later on, they decided it was too small. But they did feed cattle for a number of years here. I did work with them, helping them with different vaccines to keep their animals healthy. And we were just good friends. And this lady that developed all this was also a skilled pilot, flew a Bonanza airplane, which is 200-mile-an-hour airplane. Very smart, and her husband was a TWA captain, and so they just let me go to work out here. We'd lease it from them, and it's better controlled. We're under a roof. We used to do this outside, and it would rain every time, and not good. But we started out with pastured cattle, and we'd have to get on horseback, round them up, build corrals, do it all, and we just weren't getting anywhere. We were working with beef cattle. And originally, I was a one-man stand on my own farm, buy cattle that had eyes that I could see were developing pink eye, and I'd work with them with the different disease combinations, or vaccine combinations on my own place. And then when they decided they weren't going to feed cattle anymore, we got in this loafing shed that you can see behind us, and there's two of those, 60 by 80 feet, so our corrals and chutes and everything are under roof. They're not particularly warm, but they're dry, and it's just a more humane place for us and for the calves. This disease moves through a herd. It doesn't hit everything at once. So if you start seeing it get into a herd, and the frustrating thing for the cattlemen is they'll get 2 cases one week, and the next week they go out and there's 3 more. And they have to cut them out of the herd, bring them up, run them through the chute, treat them, and then the next week there's 2 more, and it drives them crazy. Very frustrating. But we found if we can go through when this first starts, we vaccinate everything, and that stops it from moving through the herd, and we can pretty well bring it to a close, which saves a great deal of labor and frustration.